School improvement plans. The school improvement plan, or SIP goals for each school, is going to be reviewed by building principals. Tonight we have Rolla Technical Institute and Technical Center, Rolla Junior High School, and Rolla High School. And it looks like Pat Duncan and the folks from Rolla Technical Center are up first. You guys be sure to introduce yourselves and stuff for television purposes as you speak. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate this opportunity. I think you know three of us. I'm Matt Duncan, Lucas Chapman, Paula Haas. Would like to recognize a few that we have with us tonight. Our leadership team is represented with Miss Vicki Parcell. She represents the adult programming. She's our practical nursing director. Mr. Robert Studdard's our wood manufacturing teacher. He's at RTI. I've seen him here quite a bit with the work that he does. And Mr. Mike Hofstetter, he's our collision repair instructor at RTI as well. Those are three of our members of our leadership team. Appreciate them coming out tonight and being here. They're a big part of how we come up with this plan. We have 6 members of our leadership team. I'd also like to recognize Cord Jenkins, Stephanie Broyles. We're very pleased with what we get to do there. Jennifer Wall is also an adult program instructor that is on that leadership team as well. So appreciate what they do. What we're going to talk about tonight is kind of how we came up with this plan and kind of how we blended our goals into the comprehensive school improvement plan for the district, how we can kind of help line that up to assist with it. How we come up with this. Mr. Chapman is going to talk to us and briefly walk us through recruitment, retention, placement, our goals on what we're going to work at with it. I'll talk about student performance and high quality career and tech ed programming, and Mrs. Haas will follow us up with how we're shooting for instructional technology and using technology in our buildings. So, does anybody have any questions about anything before we start? Try to get through it as quickly as we can. But basically, what we do is when we go through our process, we start at the end of the school year. We get a lot of our feedback on how we did on this year's goals at the end of the school. Now, a lot of that data doesn't come till the summer, till the end of the fiscal year, possibly even into the fall. But most of it starts coming in. We take our surveys. We'll do our teacher surveys. We will take that information. We've actually done that the last couple years. It's a process that I think our staff is comfortable to give input on. We share that with the leadership team. Our leadership team, we talk about it with them. We then share that out. They take it to their PLC teams, and so all the teachers get that feedback that way. We're able to use that information when we create our school improvement plan for the next school year, as well as in our personal professional development plans. So it's been good. The teachers have been good to tell us things we need to work on, and as well as they're good to tell us things that are going good. So we use it a lot for kind of how we tweak these goals that we work on. As we go through as well, then we meet back at the beginning of school. We will use the back to school days. We'll start out with our leadership team meetings. We'll give them a chance to have feedback on how we did. We show them that data. Then we will let them take that into their PLC teams and give feedback. We kind of roll that around until about September. Then we'll have a staff meeting and continue to tweak that. So we made several changes as late as September as we go through. And Mr. Chapman will talk a lot about that. Ms. Hass will too on the technology, but some of our programs that we're trying to keep going and either build up or make more robust came in September. So we're pleased with that. Our leadership team, again, I am pleased with it. We do a lot of meetings, but it's one the team, these guys decided, we need to meet monthly. So we meet at the third Thursday of each month at 7:30, and it's a meeting I think none of us dread. It's a good meeting. It's productive, and we knock it out in 30 to 40 minutes and accomplish a lot. So it's a good process. And then each one of those leaders meet with their PLC each month at their own designated time. So this chart here just kind of shows how we brought our goals in and brought them into the district-wide CSIP, the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan. And these goals we're going to see as we move forward in our 3 goals. We've got 3 goals that we've pretty much used as a base the last 3 years, and we've tweaked them, we've changed them, but they pretty much have the broad goals that seem to be fitting what we're dealing with right now as far as in career and tech ed. So we'll just jump into goal 1. Goal 1, we're going to allow Mr. Chapman to talk about it.
That's all right. Don't mind me. What a great time. Me and Mr. Duncan, he joked a little bit about there. We switched some things up, a few things, and what an opportunity it is to speak in front of you that have supported us so well. Being over at RTI every day, it's a great opportunity to see how much you guys do support us. As all the progress as we walked in. I hope you got to see all those pictures of the new improvements that are happening in our building right now, and it's just a great time to be there for us. We're really working on these things, have for the past 4 years we've 3 been together. We want to continue recruiting practices because a lot of our programs, student numbers are important, and the right students in those seats are very important on the end numbers. Retention of students, we want to start them in a program. We really need them to finish a program. Placement rates, of course, we're about getting students to work. I mean, we're preparing students for the workplace. And we want to enrich that career and technical education program with a lot of things that you guys see in here too. Skills USA, FFA, DECA, HOSA, all those different acronyms for what our student organizations in career and tech ed. And we really like doing those things. So our strategies this year started with advisory committee, research, and development. The thing, every one of our programs has an advisory committee, and I'm sure that some of you in this room or listening have been on those advisory committees. And in preparation for this a little bit and decluttering the office as we're getting ready to move in, I've looked at most of these, the development of these committees may have happened before, but the real paperwork trail that we see is about 97, 98 when these things happen. And what that really started, the North Central accreditation, when DESE stopped accrediting us and North Central became our accrediting agency for Title IV funds, then that's when we started writing all this down and taking really good notes. So I was going over with the new Masonry instructor today in his Harold Martin's notes and the people that were on there, and it's neat to see those things. But we really get to see those goals that happened 20 years ago and where the school wanted to go and if we're reaching those or not. But our advisory committees then and now are based upon employers of our students, also our students and people in the community. With something we'll talk about several things tonight, or several times we'll bring up something. We'll refer to it as COE, but it's the Council on Occupational Education. That's our new accrediting body that we're going after accreditation through. It used to be North Central accreditation, NCA, you've probably heard us talk about before. We're going for this new one, as you can see up there, Council for Occupational Education. So they have some more rules. They're stringent on the rules and those things. And some of the things that they've brought to our advisory committees that you wouldn't see 20 years ago are such things as they've added several surveys. We'll do 3 or 4 surveys with those people as they're in during our advisory committee meetings, asking about what we're doing and all that, so we can get some real hard data that we can keep from year to year. And then also something that's quite a bit different is an employment verification that we have to do with at least 3 people. And it's really good information, but it's different. It's new to us. And what that does is they have to fill out this survey that shows that they will employ our students. Here's a real starting salary that those students can make here in our area that we serve. So there's some good data there, and it's realistic stuff, and it's a good thing.
So will the composition of the advisory committees change?
They've changed slightly, if any. We've added.
Okay.
We've made sure employees. We have to have at least 3 employers there. Right. In past, it wasn't counted. It was counted more people, but this is really have to have 3 people that can fill out these employment verification cards to count. And so also we have to do. We have to keep our minutes in a certain way, and yeah. it does bring a lot of makes the data available, I should say. You know, in meeting notes before or minutes, we're kind of sporadic. This kind of gives us a system to do that on, and it gives us a lot better data. We're year 1 of this,
okay.
So we'll work on that from year to year. We've
Is
worked.
this a state thing, going to the going to COE? Was this a Missouri state thing, or is this nationwide?
It's national. It's national. The accrediting body, North Central Accreditation, lost their status with the Department of Ed
Oh.
to be an accrediting body so we can give Title IV funds out through our financial aid, which is student loans, Pell Grants, those things, for our adult students to come to our programs. Excuse me. So that next one brings us to the next point, adult enrollment. We've really worked on refining it, because also in this process, we're putting a lot bigger number to those placement rates, for those students actually having jobs after they're out of our program, because that's what our program should be about. It's making sure those students have the opportunity to work, they're work ready to go. So we have to refine that enrollment process for those adults coming in our program, and secondary students also. But so we've put some more deadlines, some more time. We're not taking people to the last minute. So yes, we do need the numbers, but those upfront numbers seem to be the ones that really work best for us. So students that know, in the next 6 or 8 months that they want to come back to us next year in construction trades or culinary arts or those things, instead of making that last minute decision because they don't know where they want to go to school. So that's where we're refining that. We're really looking at a student service department. If you come in our new building, come in our building, you're going to see new offices to the left. The next couple weeks we'll be in those. Mr. Duncan, myself, and the front desk ladies. Well, where our main office is now at Raw Technical Institute will now become our student service department. If you come over right now, we have several people like Dr. Broyles and Mrs. Medlock. They're all in different parts of our building. So we're going to bring them all together and become a student service department where those students can feel better served. Our secondary students, along with our adult students, can come to one department and find all those things they need, from financial aid to job placement to somewhere an employer can place post jobs that they have open and those things. That's the whole. So our big part of this year is getting ready for the COE accreditation, but that's where we're focusing on a lot of those things. And student services, they've got some really good ideas in their accrediting body to help us make that better for our students. We've had it before. So probably the coolest thing I'd talk about on my part here is implement of high quality career and tech ed professional development. Last year was the first year, and this is continuing on with Raw Public Schools going to the 6 day-long professional development and giving an administration giving us the ability to do some things really neat. We've really done some high quality career and tech ed professional development, things that we get to go different places and do. We've got together with Lebanon and a lot of Southwest schools such as ourselves to bring our ag teachers together, bring our auto body teachers together, collision repair, you'll get on to me, but collision repair teachers together, to get our construction trades teachers together, to get our IT teachers together. We're usually, they just come in, they are teachers in our district, but they don't fit exactly in. So those things have really helped to get our facilities, other career and tech ed schools like ourselves together those full days. Any questions on Go One?
Well, full days are a big hit with you guys.
Big hit. Big
So
hit.
they never got that opportunity before, did they, to meet with other schools?
Very seldom. And this is a catching on trend, and a lot of these other districts doing that is really catching on, and like one date didn't match up exactly with us, but November 7th we sent several people down to Lebanon. It really worked for us really well.
Good.
Excuse me, makes so much more sense.
Yeah. I'll hand it over to Mr. Duncan and go over goal number 2.
Goal number 2, we're focusing on student performance through high-quality career and technical ed to ensure students are career ready. First one there, establish and define the career and technical student organizations. The CTSOs are how they're referred to for DESE. What we're trying to do there is we've kind of drilled down to Project Lead the Way, and they have a specific student organization that goes with that. Mm-hmm. Our adult programs also have some professional organizations that have a lot of value as well that we're looking at as well. I know Ms. Parcell, her students have the practical nursing students, which is a great organization. They do conferences, they do memberships with it. It's a little different than the CTSO, but we're redefining those so that we can make sure they're they're still getting us where we need to be. The CTSOs are big on, they're big with, most of those you're familiar with as far as FFA, Skills USA, FBLA, and they really promote leadership and competitions. And that's what we're doing. We wanted to define that better with Project Lead the Way, because they have one in the engineering called the Technology Student Association and the TSAs, and we've made a lot of strides there. Mr. Swafford, Mrs. Tumbrick have went to the conference for it. They've had the state person come in, talk to the classes, and we're starting to get that going. So we're pleased with it and how it can grow in the future through the pre-engineering program. We also are continuing to monitor the embedded credit process. It's a good feeling to be at the point where we can say we're monitoring it, because we've really been trying to get that lined out. And the last few years with the help and the cooperation and collaboration with Mrs. Fulton and Dr. Pritchett at the high schools, we've got 3 ladies that are working with us, highly qualified teachers in science, math, and English as language arts for that embedded credit process. So they really put a stamp of quality in there. We had our consortium meeting with our sending school superintendents and principals this week, and Mrs. Gillis had put together a screencast, which really, I had a lot of good feedback from that, showing how we are pulling that true core stuff out of our career and tech ed programs. And they work great with our staff. We get them for 1 hour a day, and it's really making us feel like we're doing better. We got a lot of ways we can go and improve with that, and they're all for that, but it's moving in a good direction. But
Could you give us an example of what they do?
sure,
Please.
that we have those 3 people first hour from 8 to 9, which that's probably 80% of our staffs that have secondary students planning hour. So they're able to facilitate with them. They go through their curriculum, and they're pulling out those lessons that we are now putting in Infinite Campus, so that we can show that we're measuring those assessments that are truly English related. It doesn't put that burden on our teachers who are not English teachers, but they're pulling that out and they're certifying that credit, so that lesson that Mr. Hofstadter's doing, they find that English in that, and they enhance it, and they refine that lesson plan or assessment so that it's truly getting us to that level. So.
And that was a big issue with the sending schools a couple of years ago, was the loss of those embedded credits. Are the superintendents happy with the direction we're going? We're going to see more
The feedback
students?
I'm getting is yes, I think so. And it helps, again, with what they've done with it and how we can show what we're doing. It improves that validity a lot. So.
Been working on that longer than 2 years.
Yeah.
It was a concern before, but to their credit, it's come a long way. Craig's leadership in that.
Yeah.
And
So I
just
think-
the cooperation that has to occur to allow those teachers from the high school to come over and do that. It's everybody.
Yep.
Good.
So.
Good.
Continued growth in the CT indicators for, we have benchmarks in our annual performance report, such as the MSIP, as well as for Perkins indicators, and those refer to the 3.4, 5, and 6, which are like the 3.4 is, we fall into that with our industry recognized credentials, falls into that with, and the 5 and 6 indicators are the placement, the career-related completers that we have that go through our programs that help with the district score. Then we're also held accountable for our Perkins money for the Perkins indicators as well on the federal level. So we keep those in. Those are things that we need to have every year in our goals. The implementation of culinary arts, I think we're real excited about that. We were real happy with Mrs. Altmeyer. She was our hire for it. She's a young teacher and has got the certifications and is doing some neat things. If you've been watching, I know she's on the My Big Campus. She's got a lot of stuff out there, and we've really enjoyed watching that grow. And it's been a challenge. We've had to make it happen. We kind of had to have a classroom that wasn't really going to be the classroom, but you can't just have a classroom for culinary arts. So Mr. Chapman's done a lot of work to get that set up, and it's going good. There's a lot of neat stuff going in there before we can transition into the new facility that we're all very, very excited about and appreciate the support for it. But
Still selling pies?
still selling pies, yes.
Right. Keep that in mind.
But it's implemented and going well. We hit the target just a little bit better than we thought as far as numbers. We didn't want to get too many. We've got about 25 students in there, so that's perfect for where we're at, to where we can transition. And that was hard. We didn't have a teacher, didn't have a facility to recruit to last year, and I think the buy-in from the sending schools is good. That'll come this spring when we're asking for numbers, because this program we hope they'll send us a few extras and not just substitute, from another program. And so we think the diversity of these culinary arts isn't going to pull from the same students we're getting. So we also are researching another project, Lead the Way initiative. We're looking at, they also have a biomed component that we're looking at, and there is and we're redefining our Career and Tech Ed student organization, which is our CTSO for our health at RTC, which is HOSA, which is the Health Occupation Student Association. But it is a very big thing for us. Mrs. Bergman is on the state advisory board for it, and it's a very big player in the project Lead the Way. So it's real exciting to see how those are all coming together, and not sure exactly how that's going to work, but we're just trying to get ahead of it and be a part of that. So any questions about Goal 2?
Need a game card to show us all the acronyms that you deal
I
with.
know. I hope we define them all.
I give him credit, he's got them defined.
does, yeah.
Yeah, we tried to get all those in there. And the last goal would be instructional technology. And the first item that we have been looking at for a long time is trying to increase the mobile computer labs. Not that we don't need a standalone computer lab, but we have found that it's highly effective if we have a mobile lab so that the students can use those, and I think you have seen that in the classrooms in the other buildings as well. Through the use of Perkins funding and different grants that the Career Center has available compared to a traditional high school or some of the elementary schools, we have utilized those funds, and this year we added a mobile computer lab in our agriculture department, marketing, which are both at RTI, also in the auto technology area. And then over here in this building at RTC, we have completed a cart. We started one last year with respiratory care, so we completed that this year. So they have a complete cart. And then additionally, we've added our first iPad cart to RTC, and that's in the Health Science Academy. So we're moving forward as needed with technology, and that has been very successful with both of our buildings with those mobility of those systems. Matter of fact, today, I'll tell on Mr. Duncan, our Health Science Academy in Mrs. Pritchett's class today, the CNAs were practicing shaving, and Mr. Duncan went down to be shaved by one of the student CNA prospects, and as he was doing that, he was telling me the rest of the class had the iPads out and they were working on an assignment. As compared to the day before, Dr. Zallis was getting a shave, as well as Josh Smith from the students, and so they did a little transition with that, and it's awesome to see that availability was there, because they were doing different activities. They were actually doing a skill activity, and then the iPads were in use in the classroom as well, so the students were working on 2 different activities. So again, that's a huge step in technology for us to be able to have that accessibility.
And the Surge Tech program with everything electronic, that's continuing?
Absolutely, and I've got that. Actually, I'll mention that on the third bullet, but yes, that is still huge success. Second bullet, emphasizing the communication and curriculum with the use of My Big Campus. I think you're going to hear that over and over again. The expansion of that is fabulous. All of our teachers are using My Big Campus. Students are using My Big Campus as well. That has been a big plus for us in the Career Center, because all the Rolla students have access to that and are set up with accounts. So we've moved forward, and now all of our sending schools, doesn't matter, Bell, Vienna, doesn't matter, they all get accounts. Those are set up in the beginning, and now our adult students do as well. So all of our students are included in that. It's not just for Rolla, and that way that communication is there all the time, and it is utilized not only between instructors but the students as well. You'll also see on there Google Docs, and again, that'll You're going to be hearing more and more about Google Docs as well. That has been you've been, as Mr. Duncan and Mr. Chapman were talking about the accreditation we're going through. Just today, the conversation today, a lot of individuals working on documents today through Google Docs in preparation for, we have a deadline coming up in December, and that has been a huge help with sharing documentation between the instructors. And as well, I had completed some evaluations yesterday, and one of the items that was brought to my attention, the teachers are now opening documents amongst themselves, for example, Surge Tech, where they are making notes on different things, and they can both see those. So they may not see each other in a day, or maybe it'll be a several-hour gap, and the information is shared, and they can do that. And it will be very beneficial to them as well when their students go to clinic sites. Their students can communicate with them through that Google Doc instead of maybe texting, phone calls, or waiting until the next day. So that has been a huge help. And the next item would be the iPad in the classrooms. We have instructors in our building on the iFocus team, iTeach team, and then, of course, we've had our Surge Tech instructors here and give a presentation on the adult iPad in the classroom. Yes, we are continuing with that full speed forward, and now, including Mrs. Parcell and the practical nursing program, we have hopes and leading the way. They are looking at doing that in the LPN class. Respiratory care, radiology, also are looking into that. So all of our programs are going back to that Surge Tech proposal, and they're looking at that to see, is this how we want to go? I know right now we have one student in the radiologic technology program who has an iPad, her personal iPad, and she purchased all of her books, and she's going through the process herself, where the rest of the students, because our class isn't there yet. So again, that's been a step in that direction for them so that the teachers can see that. The teachers are all utilizing iPads at RTC. Every teacher is utilizing an iPad in some form in the classroom. So that, again, is a good starting base for them because they can utilize that student to say, yes, we definitely want to do this next year. And I foresee that we will have one or two more adult iPad classrooms.
Very good.
I really do see that because that's the future, and it's been very successful in surgical technology. And the last item is implementing specific technology training for RTI and RTC. Expand a little bit about what was said about the Professional Development Day. That has been very helpful for our staff, not only having the full day for professional development, but has given us an opportunity to utilize a technology staff, specifically Brenda Spurgeon. She has been so helpful to us to give us specialized training. She works with our adult instructors. It might be a 2-hour session. Then she works with our high school instructors, keying in on things that are specific to them and what they need so that they can utilize that in their classroom for their individual needs. And it's been very helpful to have those full days because we can do those type of things that help us in our buildings. And so that's basically what we're doing with technology at RTI and RTC. Do you have any more questions for me?
Not a question, but I have
Yeah.
a comment. One of the Surge Tech students happens to be one of my clients, and
Okay.
when he mentioned that's what he was doing, I asked him about the iPads, and he's like, I can't imagine not using it. He says, we need this everywhere.
Yeah.
He said it makes what we do so much easier, more relevant, easier to access, more efficient. He was a big champion of it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I appreciate you sharing that with us because that, again, that's what we're hearing on our side as well.
Yeah.
So. Same thing with the instructors, because like I said, they're all using them now too, and it's, just the opportunities are endless for learning, and it's very much appreciative that they are able to do that too.
Great,
Okay, any other questions for us?
Any questions?
great.
Thank you.
good.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Yay.
What we do in Surge Tech.
Okay, if there's a motion to adjourn. Junior high's next. Oh, yeah. That's all Milan used in med school. iPad. Okay, looks like we've got folks from Raleigh Junior High here. Welcome. We've got some students with you, it looks like.
I do.
Okay, glad you're here.
Part of our new administration.
Thank you for having us today. When I was planning this, this is my 6th time I've been here, and I was thinking, you hear me every year, but what we're here for is the students. So I did bring 2 students with me today. I have Caroline Adams. Caroline is our student council president.
Yay.
And I have Haley Hagan, and Haley is our secretary/historian.
Yay,
I
thank
also
you.
have 3 teachers in the audience, and I'll claim Miss Cox, Miss Melia, because she's mine originally. Sorry, high school. But she's here. I also have Miss Smith, who teaches 8th grade science, and I have Mr. Campbell in our special education department, who is here.
Fantastic.
So
Glad you're here.
I am too. We're
Well,
also.
I'm glad all they're here.
I am glad they heard too, but Mrs. Smith and Mr. Campbell are also going to school to become administrators too. So
So they're
we're,
getting credit for being here?
I think they do. I think they do. Okay, let's see if I can make this work. As we have here, we have our placemat as we have aligned our school improvement plan with the placemat. I know it's hard to read, but I'm not going to read it all to you because Haley has a copy for you.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about how our plan fits into the 5 areas. And so whenever we talk about Raleigh Junior High, one of our main goals is to increase parental involvement and community involvement at the junior high. That is always a hard job. By the time they get to junior high, so many parents don't, we struggle getting them involved. And so we do have this year a very active parent advisory committee this year, and I'm very pleased with that. The picture that you see on the screen is 2 of our parents, and you don't see Mrs. Swizdor there. Mr. and Mrs. Swizdor got some apples donated, and we had a tailgate party, which I'll show you in a few minutes, during football season for our 9th grade parents. And we had extras, so we treated the teachers one day. So we went with them, and we went around to every classroom, knock, 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 and here we come. And I can't tell you the smiles that came on the teachers' faces to see that, it was an apple and it was either a water or a soda that we had left over that was donated that just made their day. And so for that, we are very grateful. And it's not something I did, it's something they wanted to do. They didn't necessarily want to cook. They wanted to do something special each semester to recognize our teachers. We also have our parent committee that wants to survey the parents twice a year. They did 1 survey during parent-teacher conferences. We had a board created. It says RJH Parent Advisory Committee needs you, and the parents manned it. They actually showed up. They administered the survey. They talked to other parents to try to bring in more parental involvement. They also want to sit at parent-teacher conferences in March at Rolla Middle School to try and recruit parents that are coming into the 8th grade, and as well, again, at our parent-teacher conferences, as well as we have a scheduling open house night in February that they want to attend. One of the things that as we look at whenever Mr. Storms and I do our survey comes into communication. And as I reflected on that after our surveys, I sat there and I thought, what can I do? What can I do? We have My Big Campus, and I had a parent page created, but I'd never made it live. So I made a live parent page on My Big Campus. It has a link in there to a summer newsletter that I started, and I'm getting ready to do another one. It gave updates about what our school, what we've done, the accomplishments of our staff, and all the improvements that we made over the summer. I also, we communicate daily with parents using My Big Campus, through our daily announcements. We send messages and emails regarding grade cards and all of those things. But one of the things I have started doing is using Twitter. And so I put my Twitter my Twitter name out there. Twitter name out there. So, and I've noticed that I'm getting a few parents following me because we do tweet a lot of things that go on at school and things that are really interesting about what our kids accomplished. So that's always been nice. We also are working with other community, like Pecan. We are joining with them to do an anti-drug. We're also working with Key Sport to do our Service Learning Initiative. And so as I go to this screen, up on the top, we have our Service Learning Initiative. I got to thinking, everything that we do needs to tie back to our community and tie back to our kids, but it's also very positive. So I kicked it off this year with Dogs for Dylan. I got an idea watching the Today Show or listening to the Today Show one morning coming in, and they were doing a kickoff for pediatric cancer. Well, that affects us greatly. And so we have a student that has pediatric cancer. So I called Mr. Gorman at Key Sport. He came over, and Dylan Van Normer had painted that picture that's on a T-shirt for my secretaries. Well, we took that drawing, and he had it made into a T-shirt, and we sold the T-shirts for $10 each. It ends up being 60% of the profits going back to the Van Normer family, to Dylan and his family, to help support his bucket list. And so tomorrow is a Dogs for Dylan Day. I know we sold well over 300 T-shirts. I don't have the final amounts in. We're still getting a few T-shirts in. We are giving 50% of our profits because the T-shirts cost us $5 each. Key Sport is in turn giving $1 for every T-shirt that was purchased. So that will make 60% of the profits going back to the Van Normer family. And so we're not quite finished with that, but we're almost there. The kids have come out in great support of Dylan and his family. The young lady in the picture, one of their Pride Time service learning projects was to put positive notes on lockers. We started small because sometimes it becomes overwhelming with everything that teachers have to do. So one of the classes, they decided once a week, they choose every 5th locker and they put a positive note out there, keep track of what they've done, so everyone within that bank of lockers or in that area will receive a positive note. It can be as simple as, you're fabulous, you have a great smile, and that has been very good. She actually put a quote out and says that while I was hanging the positive sticky notes on lockers, I stopped and thought to myself, imagine how many people you can make smile when they see the notes in their lockers. I bet that can even make one's day. Seeing all the smiles on the faces, laughs being shared is what makes me happy. And knowing you can make one day, even with the littlest things, happier, that's what matters in life. So try being positive for a change and see if you can make someone's day too, which is what it's about. And so I'm going to let Mr. Storms talk about the parent-student-teacher tailgate party that we had.
And Monica, that really fits with what Mr. Lombardi was saying about the need for compassion for others.
Absolutely. It does.
Altruism.
That compassion for others goes a long way. And it also makes the school a better place. So.
Well, before I talk about that, I wanted to supplement just a little bit about what Mrs. Fulton talked about with service learning and part of that process. You know, as things we've shared with you in the past, how we've felt like school-wide positive behavior support's been very beneficial for us at the junior high. Mrs. Fulton and I, as we started making plans last spring for this upcoming school improvement plan, we were looking at things and underneath our character and citizenship for students, et cetera, the service learning was a component which we did not see it in existence in school-wide PBS, and therefore we went over the summer and we actually went to one of the other competitors, Character Plus, and we researched that, went to one of their workshops in St. Louis, and we brought back our own version, which we have started with the service learning. Well, I wanted to tell you that is something that we feel like is very beneficial to the kids for helping them become better communicators, helping them to become better associated with the community, and helping them to be more nurtured in their self-esteem and what they can accomplish. So one of the other things which is a component that I've been working on with that I'm going to now tell you about is we had a large tailgate party before one of our freshman football games for this fall at RHS, and thanks to Mr. Chapman and the folks at RTI, we borrowed their large grill, and we had parents come out. We had some students come out. We had a few players before the game. We had even some community members, and it gave an opportunity for the kids to interact with these individuals and have a different type of atmosphere than they're used to, just communicating among themselves, and it allowed them to network, meet some people, ask some questions, and so it's a good community involver, and it got a lot of people involved. We had planned to do a pair of them, but weather didn't cooperate, and we had to reschedule one game because of rain. And so the next one we're planning to do is going to be for 8th grade, and it's going to be a chili supper that we're currently working on and planning, setting the dates in January. And we're going to do that again with the assistance of the parent advisory committee. And we're going to have staff and students, and we're going to have a large get-together there in the cafeteria before one of our 8th grade basketball games. So we're looking forward to that, and those give the students an opportunity, like I said, to be involved in adult and mixed community conversations that they aren't usually in, and expose them to things that they need to help them recognize, reflect, and grow in the relation to being a good citizen.
So you have the clickers?
Okay. She's already clicked it forward to the next slide, which is related to the goal about highly qualified staff. We, of course, have been working with acclimating our staff to the new evaluation system and getting out and working with them. We have discussed with them that, along with Mr. Henshaw's help, has been very beneficial, coming and talking to them to ease the transition and the change of how we are doing walkthroughs and evaluations with them. One of the things which we have done as we've worked with them is we have asked them, we have scoring rubrics to establish scoring for them. We've asked them to provide us with look-fors. What is an example of this within the rubric we would see in your classroom? And so we've allowed those teachers to come back and give us a list of look-fors in their classroom, and that's been very beneficial as we go in and we score them, and we have post conferences with them that is helping us with this process and getting used to it ourselves and acclimating them with it and getting them comfortable. The professional development plans, we work to develop those with the teachers in the spring, and that gives us the summertime, like this is Fulton, I went last summer to a few conferences together. That gives the teachers also time to do some of their planning for their personal and for their PLC, their team planning goals. And so we write those with them, we assist them in the spring and develop them with them focused around our school improvement goals and focused around their individual ones. And then we have the summer for them to also take possible opportunities to either revise instruction or implement more things or bring back more things to share with the collaboration with their departments. So, and Mrs. Fulton's going to go ahead and discuss how some of that's going on with various types of technology.
When we completed our survey last spring, one of the concerns that the staff had is during our professional development time is that they wanted more input. And so this year, whenever we do our professional development days, I hold a leadership meeting right before every one that we plan, and I give them input. They talk to me about each of their area and their needs and what we can do to help them and how we can best accommodate them. So this last month, we are highlighting technology. So I worked with them and I modeled what we have learned as administrators in one of our meetings, which was actually kind of fun for them. And actually, I had some teachers walk away and go, "I'm going to do that." So that was very nice. But one of the other ways that we have done our professional development planning and the incorporation of Brenda Spurgeon and Miss Jeannie Strain is that we have every PLC group meet with Brenda and Jeannie on either a yearly or at least twice a year. So we are reallocating our professional development dollars that we receive to use for substitutes and use our own trainers. So English has had 2 days with Brenda and Jeannie so far this year. And that is the English teachers getting together, and they focus on how they can best incorporate technology into their English classrooms. And it's a little more one-on-one time with a technology instructional specialist. And that's their choice and what they've told us. And that all really comes from our survey and listening and talking with our teachers. Right now, Raleigh Junior High has 22 teachers involved in the iTeach program, whether it be the iTeach Academy or whether the iTeach focus groups, that is roughly 50% of our staff, with plans for us to expand it even more next year to be a part of iTeach. So that's really great. And so our teachers are becoming leaders and teaching each other, and that has been wonderful. Instructional resources, facilities, and support services. As we look at data and we go through, and while this also does talk about student performance, one of the things that we're doing with 8th grade English language arts, our scores, while well above the state average, have dropped for the last 3 years. We're not happy with that. So we're looking at redesigning some of our curriculum with Mr. Hounsome. And we're taking some of our time to do that and to realign what are we doing, and also with that, how are we incorporating technology. Also the same with 9th grade history. And so teachers are taking some days and working on that, especially during our professional development days. We have also increased our technology resources available to teachers and students. At the current time at Raleigh Junior High, we have 4 iPad cards. One is dedicated to the history department, one is dedicated to the English department, and 2 are available for checkout. We also have 3 laptop cards, and we have also moved to bring your own device this year, which I believe has been going very well. I am in classrooms where if they need to look up and define a word, the teacher will say, get your device out, look it up, they get out, they look it up, they respond, and then put it away. A lot of students use them for a lot of things that I could tell you about, but I want my students to tell you. So at this time, I'm going to introduce for you Caroline and Haley.
Hi, my name is Caroline Adams, and I am Raleigh Junior High School Student Council President. Ms. Fulton asked me to make a presentation for you all on how us students use technology in the classroom. The whole reason why we even have technology in the accessibility is because of you all. So thank you, because you made it happen. Some examples on how we use technology on a daily basis are My Big Campus. Teachers post assignments and make announcements. If you are absent, you can print out your schoolwork you missed at home. Clubs inform you on when you are meeting, gathering, or on an event, or contact you altogether. Parent portal. Parents check your grades as well as students to make sure you are doing well in school. It is easily accessible at home or at school. Quizlet. As students use this website to study for quizzes or tests, it is easy to use and very helpful. Study Island. We practice mostly math problems on Study Island. We also use it for English and science, and as of this year, we are now taking our common assessments online. Google Docs. I started using Google Docs this year. I love it because it automatically saves your work into the drive, and it is so open. It's open for the teacher to read, fix mistakes, and comment on the assignments. Teachers also use the clicker or plicker method to immediately get results from the students. So if a teacher needs to spend more time on the subject, they can easily find out if the students need more help on the subject or not. As Student Council President, a priority of the Student Council is to encourage no bully zones at RJH. The Student Council and the principals will be bringing the Megan Meyer Foundation to talk to the students about bullying and its dangers. Now, right now, with my assistant Haley, she's going to pass out papers, and we're going to do a clicker activity. We use clicker activities for the teachers to get immediate results.
You're saying clicker?
Clicker. There's clicker and then there's clicker. I know.
What's
It's
clicker?
really confusing.
Clicker with a P?
Yes, clicker. Now, when Haley will announce or say 2 questions, and they're just easy statements, what you do is, on the top, you see that there's A, and then you can turn, and then you see B, and then there's, turn again, and then there's C, and then there's D.
I'm glad you said that was a
Well,
top.
if you turn it, and when she says the question, the answer that you choose for A, B, C, or D, you just turn it there, and she'll go by with the iPad and record your answer.
The letter we want has to be up.
All right.
So the first question is, what would you
Move over to the.
Okay. The first question is, what was your favorite class in high school? The answers are A, English, B, history, C, science, or D, math.
Okay.
What's your question?
How about E, none of the above? No.
Did not.
Oh, I think I'll get this
Right
one
there,
right.
and just move
That
your
was
iPad
athletics
along.
Lunch
part
hour?
of it. Oh, sorry.
Jamie, you failed Plickard 101.
I thought she was coming around.
You can do it from that far away?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Way over there where Craig is?
You can see that your answers.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
If you
cool.
look up here, you can see your answers that are there, and you can see who has responded,
I'll be danged.
as well as the teachers can receive immediate feedback as to who has answered what question, which can lead itself to
I didn't even
immediate
remember the
reteaching.
choices. I just felt mine out.
Re-emphasize history.
Yeah, nobody likes
What was
history.
It was A.
The
Oh,
second
six.
question is, how was Caroline's presentation?
What was the question?
A,
How was
amazing,
Caroline's
B,
presentation?
fabulous, C, awesome, or D, wonderful.
I thought her assistant was
well.
I
wonderful,
think it
too.
should have an all the above answer. Can it have all the above?
Oh, so you can see it recording as she's moving along. Huh.
One test I'll pass.
That's so cool, it's up there.
That is amazing, it works from that far away. Hey, it's cool.
It is.
Thank you.
And that was
That
Plickard.
was
So do
great.
they actually do it like
Yeah,
this
what
in
was this
class?
one? This is
Yeah,
Plickard?
something like
They
it?
hand them out in classrooms and then.
So
Oh,
she
there
has
it
to be
says
very,
clicker, okay.
she has to be very careful to not read one twice, I'm assuming.
Yes.
You have to be very careful to slide through.
Well, no, actually,
them by their geometric shapes.
it's
Yours
your
is-
unique.
Oh, the shape
Oh,
is unique.
Yours is different than mine.
Ah,
So if you had your A.
Ours are different.
I've often
Phone
been told my
number
shape was
9.
unique.
Yeah, yeah, see, if you, we both had A's. Well,
Each one is different, each one has a number.
Okay, I
And
got
so
you.
it actually tells the
Cool.
teacher
More than one.
which number has, which it has read.
How we-
While you're looking
yeah.
at it on the screen, it actually pops the number up that will tell you.
Oh,
Okay.
The teacher can also give
Glad you asked that
reports at the
question.
end to see exactly, and, you know, which one of those. You can also do this, just set up a random or a, you know, generic question, so the teacher can use it automatically and the kids hold it up. Teacher can stand in the front of the room, they can use their phone, they can use the iPad, and just stand there and it will read. I did it in the faculty meeting, stood at the front of the library, and it read all the way through.
Huh,
Huh.
cool.
Wow.
Clicker.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Good job, girls.
Good job.
We
Do
need
you
to
want
plan what a
that?
Plicker is.
Yeah. pass it
No, it's
down.
not an inappropriate.
Pass your Plicker.
Collect your Plicker. I think you can go to plicker.com and probably download some.
I will.
As you can tell, Flickr's going to be used for formative assessments, you know, to instantly for teachers to reteach or see which areas that they need to work on or that the kids are getting. So it's a really great tool. One of the things with facilities that we have been working on at the junior high is updating. We received drop ceilings in the science hall, repainted all the science classrooms, the back gym, and working with Mr. Moreland has been absolutely fabulous because he helps us out to make sure that our facility stays top notch, as well as working with Mrs. King and it's making sure that we have all the technology that we need and the support. It's been really wonderful. Student performance. I'd like to draw your attention to this picture because we are being trained to go into classrooms to focus on student engagement. So I walk into the classroom and I'm like, totally silent room, and the students all have a laptop in front of them and they are quiet. Teacher's sitting at her laptop, quiet, or at her computer, quiet. I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? Well, I start looking around, and there's a picture in the middle where you can see two screens. The students have up on one side the rubric of what is expected, And on the right side, they are responding to the teacher via a Google Doc. The teacher has access to see every student's Google Doc. And she is interacting with those students from her seat. So as they're typing, she'll say, so you went here this summer? Well, I've been there. Or tell me a little bit more about that. She can also comment back to the students. So when she says she loves Google Docs, it has totally transformed what student engagement looks like, especially for me when I go into a classroom. And so it's different. I had to stay a little bit longer and walk around the room and actually look and see what the kids were doing. And one of them finally said, what are you doing? And through that whole classroom, you only see one student in the picture that looks at me. They're busy. They're working away. And they're engaged.
So she's seeing what they're doing,
Yes.
basically. You could do this on a snow day.
Yes.
They just said that on the news.
That's what made me
Did you-
think
yeah.
of it.
Yes.
Well, does everybody see her
Did you see
answer,
that?
or does it go to
Gonna
the
say-
individual student? I mean,
And it goes to the individual student.
Oh.
They have a URL that they can click on, and they click on that URL, and it takes it right to that student's paper.
oh my God.
They can provide feedback to the student that way because you can comment, and then the student can comment back or fix it and resubmit it. It changes the face of how we as principals look at instruction, and it changes the face of how the teachers are looking at it as well, and getting that feedback back.
Next time that Brenda's doing a 101 on Google Docs, I need to sneak in and
Yeah.
get caught up
Be
a
good.
little bit.
Absolutely. I didn't realize the power that Google Docs has. My dissertation is being done with my committee chair using Google Docs, so it's very interesting. This summer, we had to create a presentation, or actually a paper. We did 20 pages with a lady from Steelville and 4 of us from Rolla. 4 of us from Rolla couldn't get together all at one time, so we were all in the document at one time at different areas. So, and we were all providing feedback.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great tool, especially for collaboration. And so I'm not going to read all of these to you, but we use a lot of research-based instructional strategies. One thing I'd like to point out is that we have implemented co-teaching or class within a class in every core subject area, which provides the support to our students that they need. And not only just the students in special education, the students all over. So one thing that we have created at Rolla Junior High, and on your handout, so you can see it a little bit better on the back, is our pyramid of response to intervention. And we think about interventions as help that kids need that are struggling. But interventions can be those things that will bring students along that in which they need a higher level of a class. So level 1 is our core program that is for all of the students. We drive all of this and set our student performance goals by our building SMART goals and by all of our data. So we have school-wide and team SMART goals that every department sets. We also, if you look for support for all students, we have Study Island in place that all of our core teachers are using, as well as in My Big Campus. My Big Campus has become an invaluable tool for our students. If they're absent, they can go home and get their work. As you heard from Caroline, they are taking quizzes on My Big Campus, and it scores them and provides feedback as well to them, to the student, and to the teacher. And we also talk about in our school structures, our service learning projects. So I'm going to let Mr. Storms talk about level 2.
Level 2 in this tier provides both a more intensive and a more targeted for some of the students that it goes above or in addition to level 1. Some of the examples that we use for enrichment are some of the courses of which we now have available for our students, like Project Lead the Way and Gateway to Technology. And our students, of course, taking other high school classes, foreign languages, etc. We have some students in honors and accelerated math classes. We also have some more targeted and supplemental supports for our students which are needing more academic intervention. And the Check and Connect program is one of the newest ones which we have implemented over the last 2 years with school and positive behavior support, which helps us put a monitoring system in place and uses our pride time or intervention period for those students to have academic advisement and encouragement and monitoring by their pride time teacher. And then in the level 3, and the most intensive, we have also some of those interventions which you're familiar with that are very useful to us, such as the alternative school, and we have now added mandatory tutoring for some of our kids before school that are struggling with repeat multiple Fs. But the one that we have had the most success with, and it's time consuming, but it's been very beneficial, is the one there, the parent, student, teacher, principal meetings. And those have come out of what was originally our SAT referrals or student assistant teams. And we actually set those up and get the parent in there and get the students in there and get, the teachers that are available to be involved. We usually do those after school, unless we need to fit the parents' timeline. And then we're involved in those too. And we try to figure out what the individual needs are for that student so that we can get them experiencing more academic or better both academic and behavioral success, and set about and devise a collaborative plan to do that. So these are our interventions which we have for available to all our students. The ones which I just talked about, of course, are some of the most intensive or the least occurring. And then, of course, at the top, we have the special education department, should we have referral for any students for testing or services, et cetera, from
This summer, when the administrators met with you, one of the things that came out of the student performance group I was in is, more information about what we do to respond to kids that are struggling, but I also, and I had this created, but what do we do then for kids that actually get it? So that's where I thought whenever we were going through that, when we met, Mrs. Cavender said, well, we'd like to see that. So here it is.
Yeah,
thought
I
would
really
take that
like,
and share it.
I've always thought of this pyramid for students who are struggling, but I like how you've got the supplemental courses in there, because parents always ask you that, what are you doing for my child? They're not having problems, they need to be more stimulated.
Absolutely. One of the things in level 3, those meetings that we hold are not just for kids that are struggling. That may be for kids that we need to, put in higher level courses, because we have a lot of those meetings as well. And so it's twofold, helps everybody. And our last section in governance, we do administer our staff survey every spring, and we reflect to improve our performance as well as helping our school culture and climate. Not only do we do that once a year, I do that very informally. I do it every month with our leadership team. And so I receive feedback from them all the time. And I have teachers that come in and say, all right, we got to do this a little bit better. And that's okay, because that's what I want to hear. We talk about improving communication with all district stakeholders. My staff said, we need to increase communication with us. And so we do Friday notes every week, and we highlight the positives as well as give them all of the information that they need, upcoming calendar. We talk about, we attend teacher evaluation training, which we are very grateful for this year. That training that Mr. Henshaw has provided for us has been invaluable. It's really helped a lot, even though I've been doing this for over 10 years. Any type of training I can get with teacher evaluations is always greatly appreciated. So I appreciate all of his hard work in putting this together and helping us. I have in here that principals will attend technology training and model the use of technology for teachers and students. Like I told you, I did that in November. I have the pleasure of presenting with Mr. Henshaw in December for RPDC for an administrator training. And at that time, we're going to talk about how we use Pit Collage, because whenever I evaluate teachers, and I not only give them feedback written, the pictures that you saw with the classroom, with the computers, I provide that for the teachers as well, because they need to see what I saw whenever I was in the room. So we're going to model that as well. And one of our projects is to look at expanding the Project Lead the Way middle school program at Raleigh Junior High to support the biomed program as well as the engineering program that we have. So we appreciate everything that you do for us and our students, and I hope you enjoyed Caroline and Haley today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.